Hello everyone, welcome back to Project Zoo. We're gonna actually do some things in this one. Cause yeah, and the last one was just a lot of fucking around and doing stuff. So this part is a little bit weird. This room is kind of a clusterfuck, especially with the camera swanging around. I don't think you have to do what I am doing here. I'm not really sure what the pressure plates are for, if I'm being honest. But yeah, it shoots you up. And I actually already went through this room. I didn't finish anything. I didn't know what I was doing. When I first played through it, which was at the end of the recording session for the last video. I didn't include that, and I deleted that raw recording. And so I just went through this little part again, and yeah, this is thing. I don't know. So yeah, I already did this. You gum up these gears, and then you have to go down there and hit that button down there, which I am going to now attempt to, well, after I do this, because I didn't know if I had done it or not. But yeah, I kind of fuck up getting down there. I thought that I could, like, come up with a cool way to get over there, but I fucked it up, so whoopsie. But there won't be so much milling about in this video compared to the last one, so that's good. Also, apologies for the lack of videos this week until now. This was supposed to be a Wednesday video, and I am recording and uploading it on Saturday, so that's a big my bad on that one. Reason being, it was my first actual, like, full week back at work. I've kind of had a lot of days off the last couple of weeks, which has been sick as fuck. And then, of course, the first full 5-day week back, I get an assignment that makes me stay until, like, 3 or 4 p.m. every day. Longer days, not a huge fan. And I mean, just I'm not a very, you know, excited to go to work kind of guy. So yeah, I just, you know, came home a little bit later in the afternoon than, you know, and then I have, like, house things to do. Gotta go to the grocery store. You know, I have an Olivia to be friends with and to do things with. I need to eat. I like watching movies and doing things that aren't making videos. And sometimes I'm just fucking lazy and, like, pissed off and distracted and not really in a good mood to make a video and to record commentary, and I would rather delay videos and throw the schedule off to make the videos a little bit better, hopefully, than make shit and be angry all the time. And boy, was this week distracting, what with all the craziness that happened in DC. You know what? I am gonna talk a little bit about that. So, lots to unpack here, of course, but I want to say something that's been on my mind. So, a very popular response to this from, like, left liberals, or whatever you want to call them, is like, you know, we need to call this terrorism, domestic terrorism, and also you can't think it's funny or silly or not think it actually represents, like, a new threat to things. I don't know. I mean, it's certainly not good. I'm not arguing that. It's not a harbinger of very good things, but the things that it is a harbinger of, the, you know, slow creeping, acceptance of fascism among a portion of the country, it does not bode well, but it's also not a new thing. That's been, part of it. It's certainly been, like, a very explicitly acknowledged part of things in the last few years, and if we're being honest, it's been an undercurrent in America for, I would argue, since the inception of the country. I think it could be very well argued. So, I don't know. But it's also, like, it is silly, the refrain is like, just because it's a failed attempted coup doesn't make it not an attempted coup. And I don't know, I'm kind of reluctant to give it, I like, to be that performatively anxious about it. I just don't see what the value is in, like, people aren't scared enough of this. And, I mean, it was violent, like, people died, but, political theater can still be violence. Like, meaninglessness can still be violent and banal and bad. And it can also still be, like, silly. Now, what I don't really find funny is the, like, people who, like, got shot. The only person who died that I think it's funny is, I mean, it's unfortunate for him, and, I'll get into it, but, the one guy who it was funny is the guy who, tasered himself in the balls so hard that he died. I mean, like, I'm sorry, I don't, like, wish death upon people, but I can't not... I'd be lying if I said that doesn't, like, it's not kind of funny to me. So, sorry to that man. But, like, the girl who got domed by the Secret Service guy, the person who got fucking trampled, like, yeah, no, that's shitty. And I am not very, cool with, cops and agents of the state murdering people, even when they are doing something that I think is bad, or if they're, like, weird, or I think they believe stupid things. And that's what the point I was going to get to, was the sort of underlying sadness of a lot of that crowd, and specifically the Q crowd, because the thing that's interesting to me about the Q crowd and of the crowd of the people who rioted at the Capitol is that it's not a very demographically homogenous group, at least in terms of economics. Obviously, most of them, it was a predominantly white and predominantly male crowd, but not entirely, but it was a mix of a lot of different sort of elements of class. It was all pretty much like the middle tier of white, of the white middle class, of, like, the upper echelon of it was, like, there was a dude who was a CEO of, like, a data analytics firm. People who own, relatively, like, medium-sized businesses or whatever, and probably have, like, 6 figures or so. I mean, certainly enough money to travel, like, across the country and buy a bunch of long guns and Trump merch and stuff. But there's also people who are workers and like, I guess you would call, like, so a mix of, like, petty bourgeois or whatever, and that, and it's just a very interesting crowd of people, and a lot of them are people who were previously politically ambivalent and uninvolved. And the thing that animates them is the correct identification of the problem as being, because, you know, for a lot of people in America, the you know, everyday sort of horror of our society, total bullshit hit there, by the way. I didn't even know that those things were up there. You know, that there is an orchestration to it, that there is a structure of power, of people doing these things, of setting up society the way it is, that it's not just, you know, all determined by, you know, whatever. That is a correct feeling, that, you know, there are people who are benefiting from the world being bad, and they are knowingly doing that to some end. But, like all sort of conspiracy theories throughout American history, they create a grand, and in Q's case, a particularly, like, labyrinthine and absurd narrative in place of an explanation that, like, class consciousness would provide. That, you know, there is a you know, small section of wealthy elites, capitalists, who, you know, orchestrate things to, you know, to various degrees to a certain end, to their benefit. And but that's not, they can't get there. Their thing is that it's like demons or aliens and like numerology shit, and that the grand savior is, that Donald Trump is literally like a religious savior figure. And that's where it saddens me, is that it is delusion, and, you know, we are all, the system we live in requires, living in it requires a certain amount of delusion from pretty much anyone participating in it, at all levels. And even the people like the fucking, you know, the boaters, you know, the petty bourgeois, like I said, the, you know, the Chevy dealership managers and stuff, people who are themselves exploiters in the system, but also exploited by it, you know, all those is like gradations of exploitation, obviously. I'm kind of losing the thread here now, because now I'm paying attention to what's going on in the game. One sec. But yeah, what I was gonna say, what all these different people, like all of us, like, you know, are delusions and things, and it all comes from our conditions that, you know, shape our perspectives and everything. We only have so much say in the life that we end up leading. And yeah, to believe in Q, you have to be, at least in some sense, kind of stupid and suggestible and, you know, very gullible, but you know, we're all like that in a lot of ways. We're all made like that in a quite deliberate way for a reason, you know, socially. So I do a little bit kind of feel bad for the rubes, some of them at least. Obviously the people who are like Nazis or whatever can go fuck themselves, and I mean, all of them in a sense can go fuck themselves. Like, I am not, you know, sympathizing or explaining away what they did. Which was ultimately just, like, fucking around. Like, they went in there and they stole things, random shit, they broke stuff, and, like, pretended to use Pelosi's phone and stuff like that. You know, no real, like, goals, because the goal was just Donald Trump, and a lot of them, since from interviews with them and stuff, sincerely believed that doing that was gonna somehow result in Trump being, like, continuing to be president and the election being overturned. And I mean, one of the reasons they believe that is because Trump kind of told them that that would happen. And it's a big part of the whole Q mythos, which is now, once again, has over the last year or two, suffered several significant setbacks and necessary changes in the lore, as the predictions continue to not come true, and more adherents become jaded, which, of course, some of them that will allow them to get out of it and maybe pursue some other narrative to explain the world to themselves, but a lot of them, it's just going to lead to a deepening of their delusion, to they're going to have to just continue creating new dimensions to the conspiracy to sort of work back from the conclusion that they've worked out for themselves, rather than update for new information and such, which is how conspiratorial thinking works a lot of the time. So you have these people, and this is what made me sad. He had a couple Q people who were being interviewed, and one of them was like, I have terminal cancer and I can't afford treatment, and of course, like I said, the absence of class consciousness is where conspiracy thinking really thrives, where, people are put in these instances of precarity and suffering and or humiliation and need an explanation for it. But we don't, by design, Americans don't, by and large, think of themselves as class subjects, as social or political subjects. And so they said, I have cancer, and but it's okay because the demonic elites are hiding the cure for cancer, and Donald Trump is going to get it when he overturns the election after we storm the Capitol. And you can't help but kind of feel bad for them. I mean, for that person, the desperation, and I mean, it's just a like part and parcel of conditions getting worse, and that's really the not fun part of it, is that instances of stuff like this are gonna continue happening as long as things continue being the way they are, which they're, at least as far as in that, like politics and Biden goes, does not look like it's going to change anytime soon. The trajectory, generally, of things. So that's a big bummer. The other thing that sucks is the narrative that is being what phrase am I looking for? I don't know if this is how you're supposed to do this. I just hopped because it's like a slippery thing. It tries to like force you down, but I made it. We made it, buddy. Yeah, by the way, I haven't been talking about the game like at all, but yeah, you heat up these steam things and it melts stuff, and you get the babies. So yeah, we've successfully freed all the well, not yet, but we will have successfully freed all the babies, finally, so that's cool. Now that I have done this level, I really don't know why I couldn't like figure out what I was supposed to be doing, especially because they pretty much tell you in the cutscenes. But for some reason, when the cutscenes are happening, I like zone out and don't actually like think about what they're saying. I'm basically just like seeing the shapes on the screen and the sounds and just being like, oh, video game. And like it's and like watching Wallace walk around, and I'm not thinking about like, oh, hey, Wallace is telling me what I need to be doing in this level. I'm thinking like, oh, look at Wallace's fucking head. Look at that weird head. What the hell? So just another instance of my squirrel brain. But anyway, yeah, so this idea that and a couple people at work were saying this, and it's just kind of, the benefit of the doubt given to cops, in this country. Especially among the older set, and especially among the people that I work with, it seems. And that is the idea that the Capitol Police, that the guys were able to get into the Capitol because the Capitol Police was just overwhelmed by force, and it was a matter of like poor training, or even worse, poor funding, and already among Democrats, including Biden, the thing has shifted to, the Capitol Police need better training and funding, even though they literally had more money for this fiscal year. No, they let them in because they. The best was the person at work who said, I saw videos of like some of the police officers who were just like opening the barricades and opening the doors and basically just letting them in, or even like palling around with them and letting them do things and not really stopping them. And he was like, I don't know if they were just poorly trained, if they were not trained on what to do in this situation, or that it's not police officers, that it's one guy at work said Antifa, Antifa thugs and posers dressing up as police, and also dressing up as Trump supporters who have shown up at other Trump and Q events before. And we're on fucking social media for like 3 weeks beforehand talking about doing this exact thing. And then many of them going on social media afterward and being like, I apologize and I condemn the violence. Now that they know that A, it made them look really bad, and B, that nothing fucking happened, so it wasn't even worth making a fool of themselves. But yeah, that just, I didn't say anything, but that just kind of baffled me a little bit, that it's like, it can't possibly be that, more than 80% of cops are Trump supporters and may have common cause with the people doing bad things. And I mean, now we know that there, DC police has like confirmed that off-duty police officers and military officers were among those storming the Capitol, and even flashed their ID badges to get into the building. I don't know, the benefit of the doubt given, like, to the integrity of the Capitol Police, that it was mistakes and not complicity. And I can't understand, having seen everything that happened, I mean, in all of American history, if we're being honest, but in just the last year, where cops would brutalize people doing absolutely nothing. Children, and like shooting people's eyes out and shit. And then lying about it plainly, including the police here in this city. Stuff that was filmed and just outright fucking lying about it. If you actually are paying attention, I don't know how you can continue giving this group the benefit of the doubt. And I don't know, it just kind of, I mean, he's an older guy, I know not everybody thinks like I do and whatever, and these are all very, like I was saying earlier, these are all very ingrained things and whatever. Anyway, yeah, Wallace was having a little bit of trouble there. And he was walking toward me and ran into the cage, and then everything just kind of stopped. Didn't really know what to do from there. I have moments like that myself. It's fine, Wallace. But anyway, yeah, I didn't really mean to spend the whole video talking about that. But, I mean, it's the thing that's going on, and, whatever. And I mean, not much going on in this, level. I mean, I did end up actually getting the things done, so that's nice.
Yes. I'll go overboard with the outboard, put a turbocharger on the back, and a turnip launcher on the front. Can't do any harm to give it a go.